I'm driving the all-new 2023 Honda HR-V. It's bigger now. I'll tell you all about it. Let's get to it. In the world of automotive sales, buyers voting with their checkbooks are clearly choosing SUVs and crossovers. Honda's CR-V is the second best-selling passenger vehicle in the US, right after Toyota's RAV4. So this, the second-generation HR-V, should get the attention of John and Jane Q. Public. It's priced right. The sweet spot for an all-wheel drive HR-V is $28,400 with shipping, while the average car these days goes for $45,000.
The second gen has definitely grown up. It's 9 inches longer and 3 inches wider than the original HR-V, which was based on the Fit architecture, which is no longer sold in the United States. So this one gets a lot of its components from Civic.
There's also a healthy amount of CR-V in the platform. If you're lucky enough to travel the world, you'll find the next generation HR-V is different from the ones sold in North America. In other markets, this vehicle is called Voelk. Automotive marketing. It's a black and confusing art. I'm at Skamania Lodge in Washington State, which is just east of Portland, Oregon, for the press launch. HR-V might cast a larger shadow, but the interior remains essentially the same size.
On the all-new 2023 HR-V, all trims come standard with Honda sensing, new features, and improved features, in addition to some of the latest safety technology that we have applied, such as new front and rear airbag systems.
A bigger body has the potential to improve crashworthiness, and the longer front overhang and hood design improve pedestrian safety. In case you've forgotten what the outgoing HR-V looks like, here's a refresher. Nice of Honda to bring this so we can contrast and compare. Generation 2 is much more reserved, especially when it comes to these. The new back door handles are very ordinary if creative pulls are your thing. Old HR-V had this great feature, the magic seat. Stuff could be stored under the bench, and it offered a great space for a dog to hang out in. More about that later.
Before I go any farther, just wanted to let you know I am well aware of all the bugs that are here in these white floaty things. Nothing I can do about it. Let's call it character.
Honda brought 2 models. The Sport here gets a third of an inch more ground clearance at 7.3, probably due to larger 18-inch wheels. The others ride on 17s. Nearly all of them here are top trim EXLs in Nordic Forest Pearl paint. That's an extra $395. There were no base LX versions to drive. Those start at $24,900 with front-wheel drive. All HR-Vs run with the same powertrain. This 2-liter 4-cylinder is in the base Civic. There's 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque happening. Also from Civic, the transmission is a continuously variable box with a sport mode that remaps throttle, steering, and simulated shift points. No steering wheel paddles if that's a deal breaker. There are drive modes, nothing exotic. Remember, this is an entry-level vehicle. Honda's Real Time All-Wheel Drive is a $1,500 upgrade. I'm driving the Sport model. Honda believes that this is going to be the most popular HR-V, and it might be called Sport, but it's not any sportier than the others. No difference in suspension or power. Speaking of acceleration, 0 to 60 happening in about 8.5 seconds. This is not a performance machine, not intended to be one. The engine is smooth when spooling up. It does that frequently. Those in a hurry might check out Mazda CX-30 or the turbocharged Kia Seltos for about the same financial outlay. There's no hybrid powertrain for better fuel economy like Corolla Cross. HR-V is EPA rated at an average of 27 mpg with all-wheel drive. That's just a smidge lower than the outgoing HR-V. We are all sensitive to gas prices these days, huh? After looking up the numbers, that's a little less efficient than Crosstrek, Corolla Cross, Seltos, Taos, and Trailblazer, the same as Rogue Sport. Honda does a good job with CVT transmissions. This one feels like a regular geared gearbox. Nicely done. The critical difference between this and the outgoing HRV is ride quality. It's very good and moves this little sport ute up to the grown-up level. Excellent for a budget vehicle. I don't think it's going to shock anybody when I say the HRV rides pretty much like a slightly raised Honda Civic. This is a very comfortable vehicle. It soaks up bumps nicely. On the highway, it's relatively quiet. With a new independent rear suspension and a wheelbase up by nearly 2 inches, HRV is arguably the most refined in class, a solid choice when hauling dorm furniture home for the summer. One of the first things you'll notice when you're behind the wheel of the HRV is that visibility is excellent. The A-pillars are nice and slim, no real blind spots, very easy to see out. I did not off-road it. Ground clearance is 7 inches for the EXL. It's not for extreme rugged duty. Don't venture too far off Forest Service roads. Honda says this version of real-time all-wheel drive reacts faster and sends more engine torque to the back wheels in mud and snow. Like the ride quality, I bestow the blue ribbon to HRV's interior. I see buyers choosing this on the cabin looks alone. And this, folks, is the mid-level sport trim with heated grippy cloth seats and contrasting stitching. Honda says French stitching. Merveilleux. High school French paying off there. It gets even better, moving up to EXL with leather chairs. This model's the only way to get Qi phone charging with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, a sunroof, and dual-zone climate control, which is 25% more powerful now. So check the fancy box if you want that stuff. The space gets the current generation Civic vibe down to the long honeycomb motif that widens the dashboard visual. The amount of stitching moves the atmosphere up a notch, maybe two, and the padding is friendly to drivers' knees. The backup cam gets a couple settings. One of them would be good for hitching up, but HRV isn't rated for towing. The comfortable chairs are the new design from Civic. The driver's is powered in EXL, the passenger's is manual. Again, interior room remains the same as Generation 1. There are muscular touches here and there. Honda redesigned the center console to be more useful and carved out nooks. Small things stash away without any issues. Even not so small things, though I doubt you folks travel with interior lighting equipment like I do. The USB ports are easy to get to. Nothing flashy about the user interface. You know, Honda, they make it simple. The 9-inch screen on the EXL is 2 inches larger than other models. Response is good, and there's a volume knob. Thanks, Honda. The 6-speaker 180-watt sound system is okay, better than the 4-speaker setup in lesser models.
One thing that's missing in action, the magic seat. Personally, I thought that was a very cool feature. Honda's research showed that owners really didn't use it all that much, so instead, it gave them more comfortable cushions, and these really do make a difference. Headroom, pretty good. I'm 5'9". Same with knee and legroom. Footroom is on the average side. Cushions are high enough so that thigh support is fine, and the door openings are big enough so that car seats go in and out without too much trouble. Let me reach over here. Honda has maximized storage in the door. I can tell you for certain my evil twin brother would not be happy with no pocket on this seat back. No adjustable vents and no USB ports back here. You'll have to mooch off those in front. These LED lights are touch sensitive and placed really well. They're not turning off because the door's open. No fold down armrest with cup holder, so if you have a hot cup of coffee, you're going to have to hold that. This space will take on 2 full-sized adults. 3 will be a crowd, just like every single one in class.
Looking to blend in? HRV is great urban camouflage. The styling with a long hood is very conservative. It can be argued that it's an honest design. There's no poser plastic cladding. The only rough and tough element is this, maybe the wheels. Not a lot to grab the eye. This line within the back pillar is some subtle character. In my opinion, Chevy Trailblazer, Mazda CX-30, and Subaru Crosstrek are the cool kids on the block wearing the fancy clothes. But then again, the Honda has the best interior, and that's what owners look at most.
There's no option for a powered tailgate. It's easy to forget HRV is an entry-level vehicle. And as far as the TP trunk test goes, that's not going to be happening. The closest Costco is over 30 miles away, and I'm starting to lose my light.
Some storage is here. There are luxury SUVs that don't get a spare tire. Nice to have one of these in the wilderness. The seat releases are an easy reach, and the floor drops flat, which is good for transporting long breakable things like mirrors. Ask me how I know. In max cargo mode, there's 55.1 cubic feet, no bigger than the first HRV. Flip those seats up, and 24.4 cubic feet is a decent amount of room for a smaller car. My camera bag is a bit smaller than a carry-on suitcase, and the backpack is on the larger side. No TP, but I can give you scale. All right, let's get to red light, green light. Green light. The ride quality is a far better experience now, and best in class. Also best in class is the interior, at least the Sport and EXL models that I saw. Considering the build quality and cabin detailing, a base price of just under 25 grand is reasonable, and a tip, the sweet spot is the all-wheel drive Sport for 28.4. And the HRV is a safer choice now with standard Honda sensing and 10 airbags. Yellow lights, HRV is larger now, but not on the inside. The 2-liter 4-cylinder is smooth. Wish there was the option of efficient hybrid or powerful turbo powertrains. The back seat offers better comfort. Did I mention I missed the magic seat? Red lights. Not a lot of emotion when it comes to the exterior design. If you often need to pass on 2-lane roads, this is not a powerful machine. Fuel economy is on the low side among the competition. And since efficiency is so important with gas prices so high, I'll offer up the Chevy Bolt EV as competition as well. It's quick, cheap to fuel, and under $28,000 with the price drop. Those that love their Hondas, and there are many of those, want the reassurance of what they know. The second-generation HRV certainly offers that.
HRV does lose some practicality and utility. The magic seat was a terrific feature, but it gains a lot of maturity. This is a much nicer vehicle to drive now. It stacks up very well against Toyota Corolla Cross and Subaru Crosstrek. This should be on your test drive list.
A solid, if not powerful, piece of practical transportation. The HRV doesn't have the character the first one had, but it is a Honda and a small SUV that's pleasant from behind the wheel. Just what John and Joan Q. Public want these days. One thing to clear up is the architecture. Honda at one time said it was Civic-based. At the event, that was sort of walked back a bit. It was explained there were many Civic components, some 50%, but also some CRV pieces, so it gets murky. At the end of the day, if the car works, that's what's important. And yes, the second-generation HRV in the US is different from other parts of the world. It really is. In other markets, it keeps those funky handles in the back doors, and it's a hybrid. That powertrain doesn't make enough oomph for Americans.
John Vincent, how fortuitous of you. This is John Vincent. He helped me shoot the running footage. So let's all say thanks to John Vincent, who's driving a Raptor. Not exactly the same as an HRV.
Tom is saving fuel today. I am using it.
Thanks, John.
Our version of HRV is assembled in Mexico. The worldwide chip shortage continues to hamper production of all vehicles. This is my plug for the quotes service that I have. And really, use any service, but at least try using one of them because it's very difficult to check availability or whether a dealer is adding additional dealer markup. These services save time and potentially money, and by using mine, it helps support this channel.
Hope you got something out of my first look at the 2023 Honda HRV. My fun fact comes from the Honda PR person that I chatted up last night over dinner. Did you know that Honda is the most prolific manufacturer of gasoline engines in the world? You got to remember, they make more than cars. They make motorcycles, boat motors, generators, lawnmowers, all sorts of things that run on gasoline engines. So yeah, they're number one in that regard. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to this channel, click notifications, and if you have a question, leave it in the comments. Also follow me on Twitter. I'm very active there. You can ask me questions there too. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.